Was ist jetzt wichtig hier? So. Erstmal die Idris zeigen. So, bumm.
Hi everyone, my name is John Crewe. I'm the Vehicle Director here at Cloud Imperium Games. This year I'm once again joined by Ben Curtis, Vehicle Art Director, and Paul Jones, Concept Art Director, and this is our yearly Ship Talk panel. Like previous years, we'll be talking about something coming soon, something being announced today, something coming a bit later, and then the fan favourite, the Pick a Ship or Vehicle concept series.
Crusader?
Kraken.
To kick things off this year, we're going to be talking about
Nein,
our new
Crusader.
concept ship, which
Spirit?
is the Crusader Spirit. This is a series of ships from Crusader Industries.
Crusader
that is
Industries
designed
baut
to
die
take
Kraken.
on a variety of other manufacturers' ships at the two-person crew level and does a wide variety of tasks depending on which variant you pick. The two standout competitors to this ship are naturally the Cutlass and obviously the Cutlass Blue, Red, Steel, and the Freelancer series.
Das
Those
ist
are
dein
all
3-Leute-Schiff.
similar sized ships to this, and they also cover similar sort of roles. Compared to the Cutlass and Freelancer series, the Spirit benefits from not only Crusader Industries' sort of stylish physical appearance, but also their renowned speed and agility.
Sieht ein bisschen aus wie eine Scorpius ohne den oberen, also ohne die X-Wing-Flügel, sondern nur einen.
C1, which is the cargo hauler version. We have the A1, which is the light to sort of medium bomber version. And then we have the E1, which is the executive VIP transport version.
One of the really nice features of the Spirit series as a whole is the front half of the ship is kind of like this shared area, and it's the rear section that swaps out.
So the C1 is the cargo hauler version. This comes with 48 SCU of cargo capacity in the central area, accessible like the other versions via the rear ramp. It's wide enough to allow a variety of ground-based vehicles on board, such as the Cyclone. You won't be fitting larger things in it like the tank. However, with the size of the cargo bay on the C1, you can put a vehicle and still have some cargo capacity left over. The A1 is the bomber version of the Spirit, which sort of splits the difference between the Hercules A2's bomb.
Sie haben sie noch nicht drin. Man kann schon Upgrade drücken, aber man kann sie noch nicht upgraden.
This comes with size 5 bombs. They are arranged in two vertical gravity dropped formations down each side of the central area. So
440 € für alle drei.
And you have the two sort of lines
160 € pro.
each side of you, and you'll be able to see them drop out of the ship.
More info.
It delivers a different role to
In
what the
stock.
Starlifter does in terms of the
Hier
bomber.
steht nichts von nicht flyable oder so.
Smaller, faster ship, so it's much more agile. You're going to be kind of getting in and out and you know, doing your bombing run and then getting back out of the danger zone.
Das ist aber der Bomber dann von letzter CitizenCon.
Genau.
But it does deliver a unique kind of
Sieht mega geil aus, die Kiste. Ist gleich schon gekauft.
So you might be asking yourself which one's better, and it
Alle.
really depends on what you
480
want
€
to
für
wipe
alle.
off the face of the planet that you're bombing. Obviously the A2 has both heavy hitters and what could be described as carpet bombing, whereas this is sort of for when you don't want to completely annihilate everything on the ground. And lastly, we have the E1 variant, which solely exists to give Jared heartburn over his Starliner. So this is a sort of taste of what the Starliner will get in the future, but on a much smaller scale.
VIP1 is a really interesting module. It's basically split into two levels. And so, you know, we really wanted to sort of have that VIP experience. Obviously, you're coming into a sort of multi-role ship, but when you get into the module, you've got lockers, space to put any sort of personal belongings. Essentially, you go into 2 elevators, left or right, and take you up to the top deck. So it has that sort of first-class feeling.
I think what really makes the E1 stand out compared to some of our other ships is the kind of the large panoramic glass roof. So when you're in this kind of shared VIP area, you're gonna have great views and be able to kind of like explore the verse in something that I think is going to be quite unique.
And we also have the Mixmaster, which is at the front of the module, which is basically where players can go and choose whatever the drink it is. So it's, you know, cocktails.
Ja, das
coffee.
Konzept.
Then players will also have
Also ist nicht Flight Ready,
super
das
comfy
Konzept.
seats. They'll have the widescreen TV in the module.
I'm really excited to see when we start getting our players and our AIs into these ships and being able to kind of explore the verse and experience that kind of luxury living that I've not yet to experience.
So between the three variants, there are a number of shared areas. The sort of core of the ship changes with each variant, but there are some aspects which don't need to change. And starting from the front of the ship, you naturally have the cockpit or the bridge. So like other Crusader ships, you have the side-by-side pilot to co-pilot arrangement. Then you have behind them their living quarters / bunk area and component access. And then you have the variant section which does change the sort of internal floor plan of the ships between them. Then at the rear of the ship you naturally have the ramp access area. So that's the Crusader Spirit. We hope you look forward to seeing this and seeing what it can do.
Sieht echt ein bisschen aus wie die Normandie, da hat der Marbo recht.
Mhm. Ja, wie gesagt, ist aber Rohbau, also ist Konzept nur. Ist kein Flight Ready.
Corsair.
Drake Corsair next.
Warum zeigen sie die jetzt? Na gut, okay.
Naja, sie wollten jetzt erstmal ein bisschen Geld
Drake
verdienen
Corsair
und jetzt.
is an important ship in their lineup because it fills that multi-crew exploration gap in their lineup. We've seen a lot of Drake ships of various
ist übrigens ein
usage and
Zwei-Mann-Schiff,
roles, such as the Buccaneer and
Die
Cutlass.
Spirit.
In this size class, you naturally have the constellation, the 600i is the competitors, and what Drake brings is its usual rugged, overwhelming amount of firepower for its size, sort of classification to that entry.
It's Drake's
Wo ist Bärlauch? Wir müssen feiern.
dedicated exploration ship. It's a kind of a medium, deep space vessel effectively. It's got a crew for up to 4, or space for up to 4 crew. It's got a sizable cargo hold, and it's kind of got everything that you need to really spend a decent amount of time away from civilization, away from stations, and just kind of being able to chart out those deep areas of space. It brings that sort of no nonsense, no frills approach to the ship, and you know if something's going to go wrong, it's going to be something that you more than likely can fix, and it's not going to be something that you have to cut back to a main dealer to get serviced and fixed. It's something that hopefully you and your crew will be able to kind of repair and get back up and running, or just fix with some duct tape.
So fans, when they see the ship, will immediately see the sort of heritage, the DNA that's running through the Spirit. So you can kind of almost imagine how the ship is built. It's got that military, easy fix kind of feel. It's loaded with guns, loaded with turrets. It has some really interesting mechanisms inside it, so I think players will really dig that.
I think what's quite unique to the Corsair is its wings, the way they fold up. This isn't done purely for style. Being Drake, it's more there for function. It allows you to get in and out of the hangars much easier. We put quite a lot of effort into keeping that really iconic exterior kind of silhouette and vision that we set, but still making it functional and making sure it works. At the moment, we're just kind of finishing up on final art. Most of the exterior has had, the majority of its core art time spent on it. We've still got lighting to do. We've still got kind of like final finishing to do, tweak some of the materials till we're kind of properly happy. But it's in a good place, so I'm really, really excited to be able to show you.
So let's take a look inside the ship, and once again, we'll go front to back.
On the inside of the ship, we start right at the front on the cockpit.
The Ventilator
has quite a unique feel to its cockpit.
So einer war doch auch früher in der Cutlass.
Right up front, and then kind of classic kind of Drake stylings. The co-pilot gets in the seat behind them and actually sinks down into the floor. That transition from the main cockpit area into that kind of co-pilot kind of section, it's you move right forward and you're sat pretty much underneath where the pilot is. It gives great visibility for both the pilot and the co-pilot. The other nice thing about this cockpit is, again, you've got these massive guns that stuck out either side of you. So it should be a nice place to be. In the rear of the cockpit, we've got the captain's quarters. So the captain's quarters is actually pretty much identical to the rest of the quarters in the ship in terms of its kind of size and its amenities. As you move back through the ship, there's a small kind of crossroads directly behind the bridge. From here, you can either progress backwards straight into habitation, or to either side, you've got the turret access. So it's right really at the kind of like the neck of the ship, effectively.
The side turrets have changed a little since the concept phase.
Dankeschön.
They
Sehr gut, das war
now
das Wichtigste
have
für
a
mich.
greater range of motion in sort of the yaw axis. We're quite limited at concept stage to about 45 degrees each way. You're now looking at 90 degrees pretty much each way, so it's a lot more effective, especially forward firing, which again, the Corsair has so many guns pointing forwards. Having an extra 2 turrets is very, very Drake.
In habitation, we've got
Drake,
got the remaining 3 crew quarters that, being Drake, they are no frills. You've got a bed, you've got somewhere to store your gear, and that's pretty much it. The main habitation area, though, is, if anything, quite luxurious for a Drake ship, in that there's a decent sized space. You've got your bathroom, which is no frills. It's got a shower, it's got a toilet, whatever. You've got the kind of chow line for all your food and everything you need to survive. And then right in the heart of the habitation area, there's a large kind of sizable seating area, and that's not just for the crew to have their meals. It's for somewhere that you can plan operations, plan your next move, and really decide where you're taking your adventure. As we move back from habitation and we start to get into like the rear half of the ship, I think if the habitation area is like the heart of the crew in the ship, then the engineering area is the real heart of the ship itself.
Ich wollte sagen, das ist cool, dass das alles so rund angeordnet ist.
Hexagonal space.
Komponenten.
With a few little rooms.
So, das erste Mal, dass wir das jetzt sehen.
Cram components in. And off one of those, you have the side airlock, which again has suit lockers and weapon lockers in there for before you go into EVA or docking or coming back out of, before you enter the rest of the ship.
And then you've also got the lift, and the lift not only goes down to ground level, but it also takes you up to the roof.
Die Obstkuchen, die Spirits sind schon im Shop,
quick spacewalk, or you need to go and repair something on the exterior, then you've got kind of easy access.
Waren sie schon, bevor das Ding angefangen hat.
Then finally at the rear you have the main cargo hold, which has space for a nurse
Aber sind halt
rover or
Konzeptschiffe.
similar sized
Juckt also
vehicles
nicht.
and down, along with a significant cargo capacity.
And being a Drake ship, there's a huge ramp on the back of it. All the mechanics are exposed. You can really see the workings of how the ship actually operates. If you're a fan of Drake, it certainly ticks all those boxes.
So I think the Corsair is a particularly cool ship. I love the styling of it, love the asymmetric wing arrangement of it. I think it's just going to be a great, fun addition to the game, giving those sort of players who enjoy that Drake experience their slice of the pie. And you'll be able to experience that yourselves at IE this year. And a vehicle coming later today, a vehicle that's at the end of the pipeline, we have the Greycat STV.
Kommt der auch noch.
Racing is a cool and fun aspect of Star Citizen, and it's something that we've seen that backers really enjoy doing and organising amongst themselves, and something that we really want to help support from within CIG. So we wanted to bring a new vehicle to the verse, which is where the STV came from.
So the STV is the Greycat sports terrain vehicle. It builds on what they learned from the PTV, but it brings it out of the hangars, off of the tarmac, and onto much more rugged terrain.
It's a four-wheeler, two-person open-topped, sport styling, everything you need to razz around on the planet. So the STV is actually part of a wider family of vehicles. You may recognise a resemblance in the name to the Greycat PTV, which is also part of that family. And we also have a third vehicle lined up that we want to do in the future called the UTV, which is the utility terrain vehicle.
Warum denn kein Viersitzer? Mein Gott.
We have the concept for the UTV.
Boah, es nervt mich so,
And when you
dieses
see all
scheiß
three
Auto.
side by side, you'll see that family resemblance.
The interior again is similar design language.
Hast du gesehen, sie haben
simple layout,
Waffenhalterung an
easy
PTV
to
dran gebaut.
clean. That was a big thing for us, even though we don't have like a cleaning mechanic. All this sort of builds into the sort of visuals of the vehicle. So, the floors have got drill holes in them, so it can easily let water through the seats.
Wieso kann man die Corsair nicht kaufen jetzt?
Yes, you see the bolts where you can just quickly whip them out.
Das ist so wieder.
So all of this thinking goes.
Das ist ja kein Konzeptzellen mehr.
Those kind
Sonst
of
nur.
vehicles.
Ach so.
Wheels are a big feature. Large sort of rubber.
Dann hätten sie es jetzt auch nicht zeigen müssen.
Just there's lots of subtleties in terms of the roll cage, the sort of cross section of all these things. Maybe people wouldn't notice, but for us, these are all part of making a.
Ganz kurz, die C1 110.
So the STV delivers
Die
that gameplay that is,
E150 und die
out
A175.
exploring over our planets. We've got
110 ist gut
these
für
vast ships that you can explore deep space and go off with big multi-crews. And what this really allows you to do is get down on
Gucken wir uns aber gleich nochmal dann in
one of
Ruhe
our
an.
many planets and go exploring on the ground. It's not just a vehicle for you and a friend. It's also got kind of some cargo space in the back. So if you are out there doing missions, rather than having to fly your ships directly to where the mission is, it allows you to land slightly out there, slightly in a safer area.
Ja, dafür ist es ganz niedlich.
To load up with weapons, load up with your whatever mission items you need, and get in and out nice and quick.
Es ist schön
Compared
gemacht.
to the Cyclone RC, which is a sort of racing variant of a non-racing vehicle, the STV was built from the ground up to be a good racing vehicle. It has a good chassis, it has better handling, it has better top speed, and that what makes
Der Cyclone ist viel größer, der müsste schneller sein.
The best things about Star Citizen as a whole.
Vor allem hat der Cyclone keine Räder,
A lot of
sondern
gameplay, and it's
Schaufeln.
not all about combat. It's not all about flying these massive ships. And I think one of the things that a lot of us are excited internally about is racing within our game. A lot of us come from a racing background in terms of the games we've developed before. A lot of us
Ich kaufe mir jetzt trotzdem. Einfach nur aus Trotz kaufe ich
being
mir.
able to build on that kind of gameplay in Star Citizen is super exciting for us.
And if you stick around to the end of the broadcast, you'll get your first chance at seeing the STV in action in a race organised by Atmo Esports, creators of the Daymar Rally, where you'll see it taking on the terrain for the first time. You'll be able to pick one of these vehicles up today at the end of the broadcast.
Pick a Ship Challenge. So, jetzt gucken wir mal.
And finally, the most important aspect of these inaugural shows, the Pick a Ship concept challenge thing. For those of you that have seen previous years, you will have seen that we've thrown up some silhouettes of potential ship and vehicle options and asked for your feedback on which one we should actually make. And the wise among you have probably realised that we end up making pretty much all of them anyway. So instead of just doing that again and pretending that we're not going to do that, we thought we'd do something slightly different this year and just have a single ship option. And the choice is actually the manufacturer and the styling of that ship. So we want to do a nice, large civilian mining ship that bridges the gap between the Argo Mole and the RSI Orion, because if you know those two ships, there is quite a gulf of space in between them. We wanted to fill that gap with an intermediary stepping stone before you jump into the big RSI Orion, which the scale of its mining is nothing like any other mining ship in the game. The Mole is the current mining system, just lots of it. So with this larger ship, we want to increase that and also provide onboard space for our ground mining vehicles, such as the Rock and the Rock DS, which allows you the flexibility of taking on any mining situation that you can come across. So with that, we have three choices, which are basically the manufacturers. We have RSI as the first choice. So obviously RSI do the Orion, so this would be a smaller vehicle in that family. We have Argo, again, we have the Mole, so naturally it could be a larger step up from that. And then we have MISC, the third option. Obviously MISC do the Prospector, so again, keeping it all within the same family. As you can see from these images, they each have their sort of own unique styling take on that pitch that I've just given you. At the end of this Ship Talk panel, Jared will come on and explain how you get to vote on these three options. And that's the end of Talking Ship, so over to you, Jared.
All right, and so the Crusader Spirit is available now as a concept promotion on the robertsspaceindustries.com website. The STV is coming to the the universe at the end of the broadcast, just in time for the Atmo Esports racing event that's happening after this. And the Corsair will be making its way to you at this year's Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. And to vote on this year's John Crewe's Pick a Ship Challenge thingy, I think he called it. There is a comlink on the robertsspaceindustries.com website where you can go and vote on the manufacturer for the next big mining ship. So, John, recently you went through and just nuked all the speeds of all the ground vehicles, and obviously you did that so that the STV could be the fastest.
That's certainly one take on what happened. To talk about it a bit more in depth, it was actually planned for quite some time. as we know, game development timelines go all over the place. So we'd actually done this for 3.18 Evocati, which sadly did not come out before 3.17.3 went live. So we did that because, quite frankly, a lot of those vehicles were ludicrous speeds, like 55 meters a second is like over 120 miles an hour off-road.
Yeah, off-road. That's
Off-road, 120 miles an hour is terrifying, especially on like Star Citizen planets with rocks that would just kill you. So we wanted to bring the cyclones down. We wanted to sort of rebalance everything. Not everything has gone as intended. Like the rocks and the Ursas are not quite where they should be. So we will go back and do more changes. But the idea was people would get to see it in 3.18. So it wouldn't be such a surprise in 3.17.3, which unfortunately is how it turned out.
But as far as the new ships go, the Spirit looks amazing.
Yes.
Like, when you say, I gotta ask you, you say this is a small taste of what players can expect for the Starliner, which anybody should know is my favorite ship. That's still not out yet, John.
His little taste. When you say little taste, what does that mean?
Jedes Jahr aufs
I'm
Neue.
asking for me, not for these people. I'm asking for me. What does that mean?
So obviously the Starliner is quite an old concept. We didn't really do a huge amount of interior look development. So the time we spent on the Spirit E1, the E1 Spirit, is really what we're going to build on for that. So you're going to have like that VIP first class pod enclosure. Mixmaster, the most important feature of the Starliner.
I still have no idea how that's going to work.
Ask Tony, it'll be fine. Yeah, that sort of feel, that luxury transport feel is something we haven't really shown in Star Citizen. Every man and their donkey was pestering me for that Horizon Shuttle concept. And we'd planned to do like a Crusader Cutlass competitor, which is its like internal working name, and I hated it because it got abbreviated like the 3 Cs. We just called it the ship the 3 Cs the entire time. And then there was that sort of vocal uprising about, hey, John Crewe, give me that Horizon Shuttle, and that sort of the two things merged together, and that's where it came from. And
then the Greycat STV, which will be our straight-to-drivable vehicle, going live on the website and stuff at the end of this broadcast. That's an exciting, push in the Greycat.
Yes.
In the Greycat arena. It looks sporty as heck.
Yeah.
And it was neat to see a sneak peek of the UTV as well, which I'm assuming is going to come sometime later on.
Yeah. It's not in active development right now, but when we decided to do the STV, we're like, hey, let's spend the time, let's work out what Greycat as a manufacturer looks like and feels like. Because we had the PTV, people have seen the big Spider Miner from back in the day. They're two very different things.
Yeah.
Right. There wasn't really like a family lineage, so we built that family lineage around that, and we're like, here's the reworked PTV, still looks how everyone recognizes it, but it sort of works with the modern mechanics. Let's do a sporty version, let's do a utility version, and so we've got those three together now that you can really see like the family lineup, and they each do slightly different things, which is cool. But yeah, the STV is that beach buggy, dune buggy thing to just razz around.
No, it's really cool. I really like the styling of it. So, if you, we've got one small thing left and then one rather large surprise left. So we'll do the small thing first.
Die Kraken kommt heute doch.
Buckle up because
Ich wusste.
I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you. I'll tell you in like
rather large, hat gesagt.
But before we get there,
Kraken is large.
during last year's
rather large
CitizenCon presentation, we explored a lot of the outlaw lifestyle, their outposts, the space stations and stuff. We thought we'd do a little sizzle
RSI gewinnt
to
übrigens
follow
beim
up on
Mining
how
Ship.
those things have evolved in the year since.
Ich hab Misk
Get
angeklickt.
ready, we're going to show a quick sizzle, and when we get back,
Hier geht's RSI.
it'll be a neat surprise.
Ja, das Ding ist, ich will kein RSI, weil das so groß ist. Ich finde Misk-Schiffe halt geil, und wenn die so mittelgroß Misk-Schiffe rausbringen würden, fände ich halt mega geil.